Okay, example 1. Use the TVM Solver to calculate the future value of $12,000 invested at 5.4% per year, compounded quarterly for 6 years. We're going to take the information from the question and fill in the values that we would see in the TVM Solver before actually using it. N represents the number of years, and in this question, the number of years is 6, so I'm going to put 6 for N. I represents the interest rate per year. In the question, it is 5.4, so I'm going to put 5.4 for I. PV stands for present value, and it's the amount that's being invested. In this case, 12,000 is being invested. When you're investing, you're giving money somewhere, so it has to be represented by a negative value. So I'm going to write negative 12,000 and for PV. PMT stands for payments. This question has nothing to do with regular payments, so we put 0 because we're not making any. FV stands for future value. That is what we're looking for. I'm just going to put a question mark there for now. P/Y stands for payments per year, and in this case, this problem involves a one-time investment, so we're going to write 1. C/Y stands for compounding periods per year, and the compounding is quarterly, so that represents 4 compounding periods per year. Okay. Now we're going to use our Graph and Calc 83 app, okay, or you're going to use the Wabbit MU if you're using a Samsung, okay, to access the TVM Solver. Okay. To do that, you just click on the app and a screen like this will appear. We're first going to set all of our values to be returned to 2 decimal places, because when we're dealing with money, we want everything rounded to the nearest cent. To do that, you would hit Second and Mode in the Graph and Calc app. Okay, where you see float under decimals, just move the slider to 2. And you'll get a message that says decimal places change. All results will be displayed rounded to 2 decimal places. Do you want to proceed? Click OK and hit done. Okay. Next, we're going to go to the TVM Solver. So regardless of whether you're using the Graph and Calc 83 app or the TI-83 Plus emulator on the Wabbit MU, you're going to hit the Apps button. You're going to select Finance, followed by the TVM Solver. You should see a screen that looks like this. Okay. We're going to enter all the values that we have written down. You're going to use the blue up and down arrows here to go up and down as you're entering those values, and you can just write over the existing values. So for N, you're going to sub in or type in 6. Okay, and then if you hit enter, okay, it will automatically go down. You will put 5.4, hit enter, followed by negative 12,000. Now the negative sign is next to enter in brackets. Make sure you push this, not the subtraction, otherwise you'll get an error message. Okay, then you can hit enter, use the down arrow. PMT is 0, we're going to leave it as such. We're going to skip over FV for now. For P/Y, we're going to enter 1. Okay, and for C/Y, 4. And then to find the future value, you will have to use the up arrow to go to FV. Okay, and then you would hit the solve button, or alpha enter if you're using the TI-83 Plus emulator. And a value of $16,555.84 will be returned. Okay. Let's look at the next example. It says you're 16 years old and wish to retire with $1 million when you reach 60 years of age. Use the TVM Solver to determine the present value of $1 million, assuming you earn 7% annual interest compounded annually. Again, we're going to fill in all the values. N represents the number of years that the investment is for. Now in this question, it's not given directly. We're going to have to figure that out. Okay, so if you're currently 16 and you're planning to retire at the age of 60, the difference between those two numbers will represent the number of years the investment is for. So you can either calculate it and put the number in for N, or you can have the app do it for you. So you can just write 60 minus 16. Okay, the alternative would be to enter 44. I represents the interest rate per year. So the annual interest rate, or the interest rate per year that we're told here, is 7. So 7 will go for I. PV is the present value, and that's what we're looking for. It says determine the present value, so I'm going to put a question mark there. PMT represent payments, and this question has nothing to do with regular payments, so we're going to put 0. The future value that we would like to have is $1 million, okay? Because that's the amount we're going to be receiving at the end of the investment. It has to be represented by a positive value. Okay. P/Y is the number of payments per year. It's a one-time investment, so we're going to enter 1. C/Y is the number of compounding periods per year. If interest is compounded annually, the number of compounding periods will be 1. We go over to our TVM Solver. We're going to enter all these values. Don't worry about having the values from the previous question there. We're going to just type over them. So you'll use the up arrow to go up to N, and you're going to enter 60 minus 16, and either use the down arrow button or enter to go to the next line. And you'll see that 44 is returned automatically for us. For I, we're going to type in 7. PV, we're going to skip. PMT, we're going to enter 0. For FV, 1 million. For P/Y, 1. And C/Y, 1. And we're going to move to PV, okay, and hit solve. And so the present value that's returned, okay, will be $50,946.43. When you write the answer, you can ignore the negative sign. It just means that this is the money you have to give in order to get the $1 million back. Okay. Let's look at another example here. Okay, it says Steve invests $1,000 at an annual interest rate of 6.05% compounded semi-annually. Use the TVM Solver to determine the time it will take for his investment to grow to at least $1,200. So we're looking for time. Okay, so that means we're looking for and the number of years. Okay, so we're going to put a question mark there. The interest rate per year that's given here in the question is 6.05%. So we're going to enter 6.05 for I. For PV, or the present value, that's how much is being invested. We see that 1,000 is being invested. It's an investment, so money has to be given. It will have to be entered as a negative value. This question has nothing to do with payments, so again, we're going to put 0 for PMT. The future value, FV, that we would like to have is 1,200. We're going to be receiving that, so it's a positive value, so we put 1,200 in there. For P/Y, or payments per year, again, it's going to be 1. It's a one-time investment. And for C/Y, or the number of compounding periods per year, we're going to put 2, since interest is compounded semi-annually. So we're going to have 2 compounding periods per year. Okay, we're going to go to the TVM Solver and enter all that information. For I, we have 6.05. For PV, negative 1,000. For PMT, 0. FV, 1,200. P/Y, 1. And C/Y, 2. We're going to scroll up to N and hit solve. And we're going to get an answer of 3.06. Now this is the term of the investment. Terms of investments always have to be rounded up to the nearest compounding period, because if interest is compounded semi-annually, it's going to be calculated and added every half a year. So that means it's going to be calculated at 2.5 years, at 3 years, at 3.5 years, at 4 years, and so on. So 3.06 falls between 3 and 3.5. At 3 years, we wouldn't have reached this $1,200 amount, but at 3.5 years, we would have. Okay, so for this reason, we round the 3.06 up to 3.5 years. And the next part of the question says determine the number of compounding periods. That is the small n in the compound interest formula. And to find the number of compounding periods over the course of the investment, remember we took the number of years, which is represented by capital N here, and we multiplied by the number of compounding periods per year, which is represented by C/Y here. So if we take the number of years, which is 3.5, and multiply by the compounding periods per year of 2, we get an answer of 7. So 7 would be the total number of compounding periods over the course of the investment. Okay. Now for our final example here, it says Monique borrowed $800 from her parents to pay for a vacation. She paid her parents $830 in 13 weeks. If interest was compounded weekly, what interest rate per compounding period did Monique pay? Okay, so we're going to have to fill in all these values here. So N represents the number of years, and we're given the time in weeks. Okay, to convert weeks to years, we're going to have to divide by 52. So we would enter 13 divided by 52 and let the app calculate the answer for us. For the interest rate per year, okay, that's what we need to find out first in order to determine the interest rate per compounding period. So we're going to put a question mark in that place. PV is the amount that was loaned to her by her parents, and she borrowed $800 from her parents. Because that is the amount that she received from her parents, that is going to be entered as a positive value. PMT is going to be 0 because no regular payments are made. The future value is the amount that she pays back, and she pays back $830. That's the amount she's giving to her parents, so it's going to be entered as a negative value because it represents a cash outflow. And then P/Y, payments per year, will be 1. It's a one-time loan. C/Y, representing the number of compounding periods per year, will be 52 since the compounding is weekly. Okay, we're going to go to our app and enter these values. So for N, we're going to enter 13 divided by 52. And it gives us an answer of 0.25. For I, we're going to skip. PV, we're going to enter 800. PMT, 0. For FV, negative 830. For P/Y, 1. And for C/Y, 52. We're going to move our cursor up to I and hit solve. And we will get an answer of 14.75%. And that's the interest rate for the entire year. But the question is asking us to find the interest rate for one compounding period. So that's the small I that we would use in the compound interest formula. And the small I is calculated by taking the interest rate per year, which is represented by the capital I here, and dividing it by the number of compounding periods per year. So if we take 14.75 and divide by 52, we can get the answer. Now, if you want to do the calculation, you can leave this screen if you wanted to by hitting second mode, okay, and just entering 14.75 divided by 52 to give us an answer of 0.28%. So that would be the interest rate per compounding period.